If you're a student at a university and you have a brilliant idea, how do you transform that into a business? In Switzerland, VentureKick is the #1 startup accelerator solving exactly this problem.
What we do is we kick researchers out of their labs.
This is Beat Schillig. He started VentureKick 18 years ago when he was approached by a foundation that wanted to increase the spin-outs from universities and provide funding to ideas rooted in academia. What they came up with was a 3-stage process. Hi, I'm Johannes and I'm in the process of launching a VC firm between Dubai and Switzerland. Today I'm taking part in a live jury session in Zurich where 8 startups pitch but only 5 can make it to the next stage. VentureKick allows you to pitch for up to 150,000 Swiss francs if you win the final kick. But it gives you access to much more funding, 1 million plus. VentureKick startups have raised accumulated 10 billion of external capital from investors. But it's much more than just capital. It's become a real quality badge for startups, giving them highly coveted social proof. Notable winners of the kick have been Climeworks, who captures CO2 from the air and turns it into stone, or Planted Foods, a company that produces meat from alternative proteins. Just 2 examples of many. We will hear more from Beat later in this video, but here's his colleague Philip explaining stage 1.
You can apply anytime, so we accept applications on a rolling basis, and so you just fill in the online application form, and then we make sure that all the conditions are fulfilled. So in order to participate in VentureKick, you need a good idea. You should not have yet incorporated your company. You also need an active affiliation with a Swiss university. Then we call you up for the presentation. So it's stage 1 that you start with. At stage 1, what you need is I would say a convincing pitch. So you should make sure that you cover the important topics that usually are presented in a typical investor pitch. And what you also need is a bit of poise, drive and passion.
The pitches are high stakes. You get 10 minutes of presentation time and then 10 minutes of Q&A where you're basically fried with tough questions. You're competing against some incredible talent, so getting through to the next round is a success in itself. If you are successful at stage 1, you get 10,000 Swiss francs of non-dilutive funding. And after 3 months, you are invited back for stage 2.
So at stage 2, what we expect from you is that you show that you execute on your idea. So you should come back with a bit more traction than what you have presented at stage 1. Don't worry, we will also prepare you for that. Between the stages, we do offer kickers camps. You could think of boot camps where you get challenged, but it's for your benefit actually, so that you can improve and know what you need to work on. So it's a 2-day very intense boot camp with a small group of startups, and we make sure that we don't leave any stone unturned.
If you make it through at stage 2 and can convince the jury once again, you get 40,000 Swiss francs via a convertible loan. This startup-friendly investment is held by the Kick Foundation, which means the returns directly go back to support the next generation of founders. Once your company has made it through this stage, it also qualifies to apply for the 150,000 InnoBooster grant. That's further non-dilutive funding, specifically for science-based deep tech businesses. What would it be like to pitch in this room? Would your ideas stand up to the level of scrutiny? 6 months after stage 2, you get invited back for a final round. Okay, so now we've passed stage 2. What happens at stage 3? What does it take to win the kick?
So yes, you finally made it to stage 3. Great achievement already. In order to get the final kick, we need even more from you. So meaning more in terms of, yes, you need further traction. Usually at this stage, a lot of the startups have made their first steps on the market.
At this stage, if the startup that has now become a real company wins the final kick, it gets another 100,000 Swiss francs via the convertible. Quick side note here, a convertible loan is a common way to structure early stage investments. Once the startup raises its first round of capital, equity capital, the loan gets converted and turns into equity. Think of it as a loan that later turns into a piece of the company if the startup makes it. Over the years, Beat has seen countless pitches. In fact, a large portion of Swiss startups have gone through VentureKick since it's been around for almost 2 decades. What does it take to be a successful founder, and what does it take to get the kick?
So, to get the kick first, you really need to have a great innovation. Often this is patented stuff, but with all this innovation you can do nothing if you're not able to sell it. So you need to be a strong communicator. You need to be kind of a guru starting your own religion. You need to build a team. You need to convince investors. You need to especially convince and win over customers. Without customers, there is no business.
On this channel, I like to go behind the scenes of startups and the startup world in general. One thing that is fascinating about VentureKick is the high caliber jury team that votes on which startups make it through to the next stage. You might ask yourself the question, can anyone become a jury member? Well,
so it cannot be anyone. So it's only exceptional personalities. We have actually 2 groups. One group is representing institutional investors. So it's VCs from Spain, Italy, Germany. Even today we had somebody from Vienna, but also UK, the US. And part of that we have private individuals. And there we have these serial entrepreneurs, often people who basically won VentureKick in the past, exited the companies very successfully, and now are back with the pockets full of cash to deploy for the next generation. We also have among the private investors top managers from large corporates who are now basically 60 years old, finished with their professional careers, but still want to have some excitement and fun in their lives, and for these startups are just perfect.
What a fantastic network for these founders to tap into. Imagine you pitch to this amazing audience, high quality audience, and one of these jury members votes for you to get to the next stage. Even if you don't make it through because maybe you don't get a majority, you have made it on every jury's hot list, and who knows, these might be your first investors. They can help you, they can mentor you, etc. Nailing your pitch can be the start of a great relationship. That's one reason why startups keep applying to VentureKick.
The last year we had 800 applications. This year, already in April, we counted 400 applications, and it's just continuing to grow like this.
One thing that stood out to me during the jury session is just how much pressure is on these founders to make their very first funding count. You don't have a second shot at a first impression. You need help, mentorship, connections. This is where angel investors come in, and they bridge the gap often until professional VC funding takes over. Many angel investors actually lose money, not because they picked bad ideas, but because they backed too few. This is the power law in action. Outliers versus the rest. If you want to understand how smart angels think and how to make your startup stand out to them, watch this next.